So in today's video I would like to talk about a library called Next.js that helps you to write better server actions and better code at all. And so I structured this video in 3 sections. First of all, we are talking about server actions shortly, so what they are, and secondly, then we talk about how to use the server actions by default, and lastly, we then integrate the library to see the advantages. So first, let's recap what server actions are. Server actions are asynchronous functions that are getting executed on a server, and they can be used in server and client components to handle form submissions and data mutations. So let me show you here an example. This is a Superbase example project, starter project. And in here we have the login page. This is a server component, as you can see. And we have here the natively boilerplate sign in function. You can see we get here the email, the password, and from the form, this is like here the use server to indicate this is a server action, but there's no validation at all. So we could like easily put everything here. It's getting passed through, and then with these information, this function is called. So we would like to add some kind of data validation, and therefore we are using SOT easily. So here is the improved version. I've created here a sign-in schema, defined the email and the password as you're used to. So with the email should be a valid email and the password at least 8 characters long. Then we are using the save pass to validate this information. Then we get a result, and if the result is not success, then we return an error and redirect the user. Now we can do the same thing for the sign up again. Let me then just copy and paste it there. And this is the sign up schema. But what I actually want to show you here is that we are finding ourselves doing the same thing over and over again. So we have a server action, we have some data, we get this data and then we like validate it, and then after validation we decide what we want to do in case of an error. Of course, we want to inform the user or do some other actions, and if the validation is okay, we actually proceed. And the same here. And this is not a good approach since we are repeating ourselves. So what could we do to improve this, or these both server actions? We could go ahead and write our own abstraction that maybe takes in a schema that we could easily pass in and then executing the actual server function. We could do this and write this by our own this abstraction, but luckily we don't need to, because this is where this library Next.js comes in. So let me show you how to use it. Okay, so I opened up here Next.js documentation. So we will go this step by step together. First of all, let's install the package. And for Next.js greater than version 14, we should use this command. But if you're still on version 13, then please use this one. So the first thing that you actually need to do is to instantiate a new client. And you can create a new client with the following code. And then let's just do this. I created here a new folder, actions, and in here I created a new one for sign up. Let's call this maybe off because I want to have like both in there. Okay, here we have our client. Interesting. So this is a basic client without any options. If you want to explore the full set of options, check out the Save Action Client section. Interesting. We will have a look later on. So then we need to define a new action. This is how a save action is created, providing a validation input schema to the function. We are sure that that data comes in is type save and validated. The second argument of this function is an asynchronous function that receives the passed input and defines what happens on the server when the action is called from client. In short, this is your server code. It never runs on the client. As we've talked before, the first parameter is the schema. The second one is the actual server function. And from there we have a good abstraction. Then let's do this in. Okay, now we improve our two OR functions. The first, let's start with the sign in. Of course, we need our schema first, or both schemas. Let me grab this from here. We have here our sign in schema. So like this. And again, sign. The first thing is the schema that we've provided, and the second one, these are like then the validated information that we get later on. And if we see here, it's like type safe, and here email and password, very nice. And then what do we want to do? Our actual server function. So we want to do the sign in with the Supabase client, right? So you of course need the client here, Supabase. This is coming from the create client. So get this one here as well. So where's the client coming from? So, and what I also very like is this failure and success approach. So in a case of a success, we indicate the success with like returning an object with the key as named as success, and the other way around, the same with failure. So in case of a failure, we can return failure and then the error that we are getting here. But when everything was okay, everything is okay, user is signed in, then we return success. Of course, I need to make the condition here. Yeah, and this is our first improved server action. We can see we have now a dynamically approach of passing in the schema. We have here validated information that we can use to work with our server action. And here is actually the dynamic part, what we change every time. But this one here stays the same. So let's do then the same for sign up to show you the beauty of this. And we have here our sign up. Then we give in here the sign up schema. And again, we have here type safety. And instead of calling sign in with password, we call sign up. And the same applies here with the arrow. Maybe we have some data from the sign up when this was successful. And then we can return the data in case of unsuccess. So this is our client component, our form. There's nothing special. I just pasted over the form and some minor improvements. So instead of having two buttons, we only have one. Okay, yeah, we have still two. One is just toggling if it's like a sign up or a sign in. And yeah, we are keeping the state in each variable with the on change. And here in the handle submit, I'm currently printing out the email and the password. So let's check this. When I'm calling here sign up, yep, we can see here email and the password. So now let's start integrating the server actions, improved ones. The first thing is let's start with sign up. So we first check if the mode like is sign up, and then we call our sign up action, and here we need to pass in the email and the password. After that, let's see result, what we got in there. Result, data, okay, data and validation errors. First, maybe we start with just printing out the result. So we like a sign up mode. Okay. User already exists. But what happens if I just paste in some information that is not valid at all? We see that there is an validation errors, email, and invalid email address. So what I basically wanted to show you with this is you get like the data, you get the server error and validation errors back from this server action. Of course, server error, there's like everything that is like unexpected errors at all. If there are like any validation errors, you can access them with the validation errors. And inside of data, we have basically the result of our real business logic that is after the validation. So I have already prepared something so to see how you can like handle this. So in case of validation errors, then it's up to you how to handle this. I guess you can also directly map it to the form to show it beneath the different inputs. If there's a server error, you can maybe show a toast. And then here it's getting interesting. Here we have our real business logic result in case of a failure or in a success. So let's try this out. I will now sign up with a complete email, and voila, sign up was successful. We have assessed it over the success key. And you see we have a very nice common abstraction about how we would get the validation errors, unexpected server errors, and then our real business logic. And now we do the same here for the sign in. Okay, let's get this into the form here. What's going on? Still a validation error again. Okay, I guess I had some minor parsing issue coming from the server action. I don't know what exactly. So let me show you what I've changed here. Instead of ensure success true, I'm returning here the data from the sign in and then showing it in a console log. Now we have used a Next.js action for improving our data validation, but I want to show you another cool concept that we can leverage in terms for authentication authorization. And this is the concept of middlewares. I guess you are familiar with this concept by using just Next.js. And so, because previously in our server actions here, we have just imported this action, okay? And this action is basically, how can I say it, a factory function, because here our sign up action is still also a function. But this action here, we can define multiple ones. So here at the moment, this action is usable for any user. But for example, if we would like to have like a server action that is like only executed for authenticated user, we can also achieve this by introducing a new client. Therefore, I've created here a new file called save client, and you can see here we are creating this action instance from create save action file. And then we are creating here another instance called auth action. And then we are making use here of this middleware part to specify how we would like to authenticate a user. And since we are here in a Supabase environment, I'm getting use of the create client from Supabase and then using auth.get to get the user. You can find everything, more details about this here in the middleware section. And now that we have like this auth action, I want to show you how you can use this client to make the authentication part much more easy and much more fun. So we're again going back to our server actions where they are. And here I've prepared a server action called get sensitive data, okay? And instead of using the normal action instance that we've used previously, we are using the auth action, okay? Because this function should only be executed by an authenticated user. As usual, we are providing here our schema, and then we have access to this type safety again of this text. And what's really cool is here, this one is the user. And if we scroll down in the documentation, this comes from the middleware returned object. So this user here actually comes from here. How cool is that? So we have, just by using this abstraction here, okay, we have always the information about the user. And then we can make use of this user here, do some additional checks, and then of course, as usual, return success, sensitive data. And I want to show you how to use it then. So we are going here in the page that is like protected here at the moment from the starter kit. Here on protected, it actually works quite nice. With here we're getting the client, checking the user. We can get rid of all this because we have our now improved abstraction by calling await get sensitive data action. Here you would normally pass in maybe some ID, because I was not able to did not pass any schema at all. So if you find a way to just ignore this, that would be great if you would share this with me. And yeah, we get rid of all this. We just call this function here and then also do maybe a console log here, console log result inside protected page, inside server. This is my console log inside of the action. And here is then the result inside of the page, success sensitive data. Wow. And here I have console log inside of the middleware. So this was definitely another thing that I wanted to show you with this middleware approach, where we can have like multiple clients depending on what needs we have. And so we started with a starter kit Supabase Next.js template, where we are just using normal server functions. And then we found that like having repeating ourselves in terms for like data validation, then we used next save action to make this better by using this abstraction by just providing a schema and then the actual business logic. I showed you how to make use of that by calling it from a client component, accessing the server errors, the validation errors, and the real business logic result. Either it could be like a result, success or a failure. And the next one, how you can use next safe action in terms of authorization and authentication by introducing multiple clients where you can make use of the middleware and overwrite it in terms of your own needs in terms for authentication authorization. So make sure to check this out, this library, and thank you for watching. See you next time.